motion to reopen the meeting? I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Moving on to resolutions. A, personnel. May I have a motion? Is there a second? I need a second. Second. Any discussion?
I'd like to have this tabled.
Which table?
A1.
The whole A1?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to table A15 and A17.
Just to make life easy, you can consolidate that into one motion if you wish.
So there is a motion on the table to table A1, 15, and 17. Is there a second?
I would like them separate, please.
Table.
Table, I would like them voted separately.
Okay, Mr. Jacobus, we have a motion on the table, and it's been seconded to table A1, A15, and A17. Mr. Lombardi would like you to hold those all separately.
And so the rule here is, on a motion to table, there is no discussion. So Mr. Jacobus, you'll conduct 3 votes.
This is on A1. Mr. Kugler?
No.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
No.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
This is on A15. Mr. Kugler?
No.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
No.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
This is on A17. Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
So what happens now procedurally is that you continue to act on the resolution as moved with those 3 items tabled.
Mr. Jacobus, please poll the floor.
Mr. President, still in discussion?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'd also like number A19 to be polled separately.
Okay, Mr. Jacobus, would you please poll the remaining, would you please poll A19 separately?
We're pulling everything except A19. Is that
No, we're gonna poll A19 and then we'll poll the balance.
on A19, Mr. Kugler? This is the table. I mean, this is a separate vote. I'm sorry.
This is a separate vote.
Separate vote. Mr. Kugler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
No.
Sorry, I quit.
Excuse me, what are we voting on?
A19.
Okay, before we continue with the tabling the vote to table A15, I'm going to override that. With the exception of 2 names that appear on the list, which I can identify to the board later. So the remaining, there's 8 names, so the remaining 6 names will be part of the overall vote.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay, return to A19. Mrs. Torres?
No.
Mr. Zangari? Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
No.
On the balance on personnel, Mr. Kubler? Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to B, curriculum and instruction. We have a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. Mr. Jacobus, please poll the board.
Mr. Kubler? Yes. Mrs. Torres? Mr. Zangari? Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to board action and board policy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for consideration to reinstate 3 of our closed school days on the new school calendar, which are September 25th, 26th, and October 3rd.
Let's sort this out procedurally. So the first thing that should happen is a vote on the motion that was made. And then, if you wish to make a separate motion on that, then you should make that motion.
Okay. So we vote on items at hand first.
Vote on the items at hand and then
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would like to table items, I'd like to make a motion to table items D3 and,
Well, we're not done with C yet, sir. We're not done with C. We have to finish it. We're on board action, board policy. Mr. Jacobus, would you please poll the board on the items C1 through 7?
Mr. Kubler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. And now we have a motion on the floor.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
Could we restate that motion, Madam Vice President?
Yes. I would like to make a motion to reinstate the school days that we currently have closed on the new 14-15 calendar, which are September 25th, 26th, and October 3rd.
Okay, that motion has been seconded by Mr. Zangari. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Jacobus.
Mr. Kubler?
Yes.
Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes. Moving on to D, purchasing and business services. May I have a motion? So moved. Is
Second.
there a second? Is there any discussion?
There is discussion, Mr. President. I would like to ask to tables D3 and D4.
There's a motion on the floor to table D3 and D4. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Jacobus, we have a motion and a second. Please poll the board on tabling D3 and D4.
Mr. Kubler? No. Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari?
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi?
No.
Mr. Mr. Rivera.
Yes. Mr. Jacobus, any further discussion on?
Yes, Mr. President, please poll item D2 separately.
Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Jacobus, please,
Mr. Jacobus?
Yes.
With respect to D4, I'm overruling the motion to table.
John, are we ready?
yes, sir. You're polling D2 separately, sir.
This is D2.
Still in discussion, is this payment for last year or payment for the upcoming year? To clarify, because the upcoming year.
14,
Okay.
15.
That's all.
Okay, D2, Mr. Kugler.
Yes.
Mrs. Torres.
No.
Mr. Zangari.
No.
Mrs. Lombardi.
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
No. Please poll the remaining items.
Mr. Jacobus? Mr. Jacobus?
Yes.
To live up to the agreement that we made with the police department, which I think was more than appropriate, I'm overruling D2 also.
This vote then is on D1, 2, 4, and 5, correct?
No.
2 is done, 3 is done, 4 is done.
D1
1
and 5, sir.
4 was tabled.
It was overruled as a table.
Oh, you're overruling the table. Okay. So that was all. So it's 1 and 5. Okay.
Are we clear? We're voting on 1, 4, and 5.
Voting on 1 and 5.
Let me just make sure everybody understands where we are. D2 is now disposed of. It was voted down by the board, but Mr. Egan reversed it. Item 3 has been tabled. That leaves items 1, 4, and 5. Although the motion to table item 4 was passed, Mr. Egan overruled tabling of that motion. It has not yet been voted on the merits. So 1, 4, and 5 remain to be voted on the merits.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Mr. President, are we ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, you have to poll 4 separately.
Mr. Jacobus, please poll number 4 separately.
On D4, Mr. Kugler? Yes. Mrs. Torres? Mr. Zangari?
No.
Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
No. Mr. Egan?
Mr. Jacobus? Overruling the board on item 4.
Mr. President, 1 and 5, D1 and 5.
You voted to table the other one. You wanted to overrule that. Now we have to overrule the vote.
We're voting on D1 and 5. Mr. Kugler? Yes. Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari,
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes. We have a motion on e-finance.
So moved.
Second. Need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Jacobus?
Mr. Kugler? Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Zangari,
Yes.
Mrs. Lombardi,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes. I need a motion to adjourn. Need a second? All in favor? Thank you. Good night.